This episode of Calling It Now was brought to you by my generous supporters on Patreon. Let's begin.
And you did it right from the start.
Hey everyone, Suede here. Welcome back to the alley full of strangers just waiting to be friends, known as Calling It Now alley. You know, in the 10 episodes we've done so far, I've noticed that I've covered quite a few new anime that have heavy involvement with other countries. Del Toro Quest was based on an Australian book, Batman was Batman because he's Batman, and now we've got a joint production of Japan and France in today's episode. France is known for being arguably the weebiest country in the world. Yes, even more so than the States, with hundreds of manga released there that never made it stateside. So I wonder how they handle being able to make an anime of their own, especially with international co-productions becoming more and more common these days, with shows like The Boondocks and Cannon Busters. It'll be fascinating to see one of the early attempts, so let's take our positions, wait for the starting gun, and get on with it! Before that though, rules. This month's anime was commissioned by Mark Dean, one of my most loyal patrons who had been with me since the Patreon first started. He had also requested this for Calling It Now a long time ago, but it got lost in the shuffle, which I feel really bad about. So this one's for you, Mark. I hope you get better soon. I'm so sorry. Now, onto the subject of commissions. I'm currently working through a long backlog, so they aren't going to open back up again for a while, but when they do, I'll be sure to let you guys know. Yes, we're looking at Ōban Star Racers, the 2006 anime written and created by Savan Yeatman-Eiffel, produced by the French studio Pumpkin 3D, otherwise known for their very well-received film Persepolis, and the Japanese studio HAL Filmmaker, probably best known for the cult hit Princess Tutu. One interesting thing to note, though, is that the character design and several episodes were directed by Thomas Romain, who went on to co-create Code Lyoko, which I always mispronounce as Code de Lyoko, and run an insanely popular Twitter account where he realizes his young son's drawings in amazingly epic ways. Check him out in the description. Well, anyway, I solemnly swear on my honor, such as it is, that I went into this episode completely blind, with even the production research being done after the fact. So we open with, okay, normally I wait until we're a little bit into it, but I have to throw this in now. How does the show Ōban Star Racers open? Call it now, if you haven't seen it, obviously. A, with a race, a star race, if you will. B, with a dry recap of how humanity colonized the stars. And C, with a cooking competition between different alien races. And the answer is...
Human explorers discovered new planetary systems and colonized them.
B. Nothing grips the audience off the bat like the usual sci-fi opening spiel of how traveling through space super duper fast changed everything, right? Blueberry muffin drive at maximum capacity, sir. Engage. Quesadilla cells are nominal, sir. Make it so. Unfortunately, mass expansion led to the discovery of a mob race who were just looking for an excuse to do some genocide. Hey, no fair, that's our thing. So during the big attempted invasion, the humans apparently tried something desperate, and it worked, ushering in an era of peace. Wait for it.
Until today.
Of course. Kinder Egg reactor approaching optimal levels, sir. Punch it! Then we get the opening and, despite the very early 2000s vocals, it kind of rocks. Dang, this is getting me freaking hyped. The orchestration is great, the production is sincere and tight. I'd even say it'd be in my top 5 dub openings. It even gives Pokemon a run for its money. It's also one of the few dub openings I can say is much better than the sub opening, which is fine, but just really generic.
You will get your chance to shine.
Ugh, who wrote this drivel? Oh my. I prefer a dub opening over a Yoko Kanno composition. I may have to lie down. I think I've just shattered my own identity. Well, yeah, so the opening's great. How do they follow that up? Call it now. A, with a race in progress. A star race, if you will. B, with a shadowy evil council discussing how best to be evil. Or C, with a sad high school student wearing goggles. And the answer is... C. Yes, this show may not be an entirely traditional anime, but by golly does it wear the trappings proudly. But anyway, yes, this girl, Eva, is quite angsty due to the fact that it was recently her birthday and her dad didn't call. How do we know this? Why, through the Student Exposition Committee, of course.
It was her birthday yesterday and her dad didn't call. Again. She has a dad?
Everyone knows orphans reproduce asexually, right? Man, check out that slowdown on his voice. It sounds like he's drunk.
I thought she was an orphan.
But yeah, the kids are all, wow, what a loser, expecting things like personal growth from her family members. Come on, let's challenge the nerds to a rowing contest. But things are looking up as she's received a package in the mail. Guessing that it's from her apparently famous dad, she eagerly, wow, okay, I understand that the noseless thing is an aesthetic choice, and I can absolutely roll with it. Heck, most anime is just a missed brush stroke away from it anyway. But I still have to say Voldemort really let himself go. Hopefully that's the last jab though. More importantly, what's in the box?
Looks like that part you ordered months ago.
Oh, that's a shame. And though I know it's meant to be a moment of her processing her disappointment, I can't help imagining that she just completely blue screened there.
All right!
Then we get an aspect of anime that they didn't need to include.
If I were 50 years younger.
She'd still remind me of my granddaughter. Then we get a big old non sequitur here.
You are late.
Sure. Then she equips the part and begins her life as a greaser rebel by actually putting on her goggles. Wow. And joyriding her hover thing through school despite the best efforts of the staff. There's no way a flying hunk of metal can get past these guns. And the crowd goes wild. Well, no, but she basically pulls a Fred and George brand voluntary graduation so that she can reconnect with her deadbeat dad. After a couple of gorgeous vignettes of the world, Eva arrives at her dad's place of work only to be stopped by security. Oh no, how will she ever get into the facility now? And there she goes. Top-notch security there, fella. But yes, she infiltrates the hangar and finally gets to meet her dad. What kind of deadbeat dad is he? Well, call it now. A, the uptight workaholic who abuses his workers. B, the laid-back burnout who forgets to eat, let alone that he has a daughter. Or C, the genuinely nice person stuck in an extortionate situation over which he has no control. And the answer is...
You fools! Didn't I tell you we need this fixed by tomorrow? It's the Grand Prix! You got a day off last year, didn't you?
A. Yep, he's basically J. Jonah Jameson, except without even his minor redeeming qualities. Eva tries to confront him about her adjacent genome, but she chokes and instead ingratiates herself as an ace mechanic who is most definitely not related to her.
Sir, it's working! Who are you?
I'm, misogyny. Well, miss, do you have a first name to go with that?
Molly!
Molly-sogyny, huh? Well, I guess we don't choose our names. I'm not sure how someone can violently drop out and travel across the country to confront someone and then not, but people can be complicated, I get that. So yeah, her dad hires her to replace a mechanic who had the gall not to come in to work a 14-hour day due to his wife going into labor with twins. No, I'm not kidding about any of that.
It's the head mechanic. He can't make it today.
Are you crazy? It's the Grand Prix! What do you mean, twins? Well, just
Everyone
sell the
knows
twins,
upgrades
both of
never
them.
work.
Guess what? You're fired.
So this slave-driving, union-busting dictator of a CEO is then given an important position by the president. When was this made again? What can I do for you? Well, you might want to sit a bit closer. You're making this way more awkward than it needs to be. It turns out that the invasion of Earth was called off right before the final attack by this Cthulhuid Yojimbo here. For what reason? Call it now. So that the aliens can challenge Earth to a race. A star race, if you will. B, to demand Earth show them what this strange concept known as fun is. Or C, because it was all a simulation. And the answer is...
I, the Avatar, invite you to join the beings of the galaxy in the great race of Ōban.
Hey, finally we get to what the title is referring to. Earth has been invited to participate in an interstellar racing tournament, and it's about to start 25 years after they announced it. See, the world leaders literally just took the credit for winning the war and just ignored it for 25 years. And now Kyojimbo is back and he's all, well, where's your team? Pardon? Your team. I gave you 25 years to prepare for the race. It starts in 2 days. Jerry, fire up the world cracker. Wait, hold on. Honestly, what kind of dystopian hell government would ignore clear instructions to avoid a global body count? Oh, reality is dumber than fantasy. So they assemble a crack team of the best hover racers and turret section experts, including Muscles Magoo and Two-Tone Trigger here. They're about to set off when they're attacked by the aliens that nearly destroyed them before the race was announced. So are they trying to stop them competing? Because if they could do that, I'm not sure why they stopped the invasion before. I'm pretty sure xenocide is usually accepted as an excuse for not competing. So the crew evacuate. Ava's all...
Wait, Dad!
I wonder what she was going to say before she got cut off. Yeah, probably trying to get into Absurdistart or something. Then the alien gives chase, but it's pretty chunky. How will it keep up with the truck? Well, call it now. A, it contorts into a panther-like creature. B, it rips off a nearby car's roof and drives it like Donkey Kong in a go-kart. Or C, it gives up. And the answer is... B. Hilariously, wonderfully, B. Let's go. After a pretty neat chase, the crew arrive at the egg-sucking point just in time to get sucked into an egg and sent across the galaxy. Meanwhile, the president's all...
The die is cast.
Yes, well, perhaps you might have increased your odds if you didn't wait 25 years. Well, that was Ōban Star Racers. Did it hook me? It did? but that's with a few worries. I do like the world that has been set up. The ideas are really fresh and the animation is awesome, but there are some stretches in logic that strained my sense of enjoyment. The big one being, of course, that the government sat on the knowledge that a race was coming and didn't act on it until the last second like a freaking college student. Yes, I know, har har relevant, but A, this is meant to be an escapist soft sci-fi, and B, it's still, and I can't stress this enough, 25 freaking years! That and the whole ignorant dad trope is already kind of tired, but when he clearly hears that she's his daughter without so much as flinching, it's just frustrating to me. Not to mention there was some really stilted pacing that I think was meant to be thoughtful, but instead made Eva just look a little spacey. That seems like a scathing indictment, I know, but aside from those admittedly pretty big gripes, there was still a really good feel to the show overall. The world building is fantastic, and I really like the aesthetics, so would I watch it to the end if I had time? I really think I would, or at least I would give it a good 5 or so episodes before giving up. From the opening I can tell that they're really going for a kitchen sink approach with the aliens, and the central conceit of basically pod racing but with even higher stakes will give it a much more clear identity. Just like many a sci-fi series, it probably just needs a few episodes to find its feet before it becomes something really special. What kind of special? Well, calling it now, Muscles Magoo is as dead as a particularly thick doornail. Well, okay, maybe not dead, but he is going out of commission and fast. I know Eva was shown driving in the opening, but even without that, he's shown as a cocky jerk, and she's the main character who can drive real good. His freaking minutes are numbered. Obviously, the team will win the prelims, most likely by the skin of their teeth, while also discovering a rival and a snobby planet who have been competing for millennia, maybe with some kind of handsome, arrogant prince for Eva to hate at first before coming to respect. As they enter the tournament, there'll be a couple of losses so that they'll be able to work on their teamwork, and the father can learn about occupational health and safety. They'll learn that there's more at stake than just the Earth, possibly that it's a convoluted test to find the best race to breed in some sort of twisted eugenics experiment, and they're planning to cull the losers, so the former rivals have to work together to bring down the system from the inside or something. Oh, and then we find out Eva's dad really did love his daughter, but thought she died, which is why he became a jerk. All employee abuse forgiven. Then it's time to go home, but Eva chooses to stay to allow for possible sequels. But what am I talking about? That's way too convoluted. Obviously what's really going on is the race we've been following hasn't been Earth at all. It was subtly hinted with the lack of noses, but we just wrote it off as a stylistic choice when really this was all just a race similar to humans that also live in the general vicinity. Where are all the humans though? We're the ones behind the race all along, setting up an intergalactic tournament to distract all the alien races from the fact that we're woefully underarmed in any kind of conflict. That's why the ships are in the shape of an egg. We're the only planet with chickens, and we never saw a chicken in this episode, did we? After the tournament, we sell the racing concept and plans to a shady corporate entity in exchange for not touching Earth, and the original name for the sport is revealed. Pod racing. It was the Empire. This is where Earth humans were the whole time. Of course, the Empire being who they are, they kept their end of the bargain by wiping out the human race, so there's no need to colonize their planet, but 2 survivors remain. Adam and Eve. That's why it was a long time ago. It's so obvious. So that was Ōban Star Racers. Remember that this is still early days and I'm always looking for feedback. Thanks for indulging, and calling it now, your games on Mario Kart are going to be a little more competitive this week.